Joining me now is Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan, ranking member of House Judiciary Committee, and Mollie Hemingway, Fox News contributor and editor-in-chief of The Federalist. Congressman, it's nice that President Biden did finally reach out to Governor DeSantis, but he also declined to cancel a fundraiser tonight to help more, obviously Democrats get elected governor, which just seemed, seemed off. I don't want to politicize this, but it does seem off tonight.
Yeah, and if President Trump did that, you can imagine what the left would say. And you're exactly right. Leadership matters. We had great leadership under President Trump. We're seeing great leadership from the governor. I think the governor's what he says. He's already have 40,000 line workers on standby. He's got National Guard on standby. They got planes ready to go. I think he talked about air, land, and sea, ready to help the residents and families of his district. And he's already set up a way to raise money for the families who we're all praying for, who are going to be impacted by this. And as you point out, what's Joe Biden doing? Raising money for himself and for Democrats, the same people who've given us all the problems we see unfold across our country, whether it's crime, whether it's border, whether it's inflation, over the last 20 months. So leadership matters, and we're seeing a stark contrast between real leadership that we had under President Trump and this governor and what we now have with President Biden.
And Mollie, a CNN reporter tweeted today, as DeSantis prepares Floridians for Ian, he's urging residents to heed advice from the same local leaders he suggested they ignore during COVID, and praising a federal agency that he previously alleged withheld aid to the state because Biden was playing politics. Mollie, are hurricanes and COVID the same thing here?
If you understand the difference between hurricanes and COVID, then congratulations, you're smarter than a CNN reporter. But also, there really had been so many problems with public health management, particularly at the federal level. And Florida local emergency experts are unfortunately seasoned in this type of catastrophe. They are giving good advice. It is wise to recommend that people listen to those local emergency leaders. And just more than that, this is not the time to be playing these kinds of games. I get that reporters hate Ron DeSantis. They hate that he's very effective at pushing back against them and other people on the left. But the reason why he's so popular isn't just because he pushes back on them and other craziness in the left. It's because he is a very good administrator of his state. When you go down there, people, whether they're Democrat, Republican, they praise him for how he kept the state open during COVID, for how he's friendly to businesses. They like his policies. It's not just because he's this conservative.
Well, in the end, government is supposed to work for the people, not be conspiring against the people.
Right.
And we see that happening in various states across the country. But Florida really is a shining example, along with Texas and Tennessee and South Dakota, Iowa. They're run well. They're states that are actually run well.
Yeah, it's we the people, not we the government. We the people elect folks to make decisions, not the bureaucrats like Fauci who think he's smarter than everyone else when speaking of COVID. So, yeah, that's exactly right. And that's what, again, great leaders understand that. Our Constitution starts with those three words, we the people. They get that. Governor DeSantis, President Trump, they get it. Unfortunately, today's left, which runs our federal government, they don't. They think power's all about the government and the bureaucracy and doing what they want to do versus what we, the people, elected folks to do.
Well, I was talking to someone the other day, and she said to me, she's not really a political person, an old college friend, and she said, I start to think I feel like I'm the enemy in my own country. I feel like I'm an adversary to the people that we vote for or that are supposed to serve us regardless of political party. And I said, that's a really good way of putting it. We're the enemy. No, we're the people. We're not the enemy. Don't treat us like the enemy. Mollie, while the hurricane, of course, is just slamming Florida, John Kerry thought it was the perfect time to tout Biden on the climate.
The Inflation Reduction Act will be an accelerator of action. It has really serious money as incentive for the deployment of renewables, for the manufacture of renewables, for the deployment of electric vehicles, the infrastructure for it. This is a job creator.
Mollie?
There is this wide-held conspiracy theory on the left that man-made climate change is the cause of hurricanes, which is just absurd on its face. We've had hurricanes ever since the dawn of creation. They average, I think the average number of hurricanes from 1851 to 1860 was 19. That was the same number that we had between 2011 and 2020. There are more people living in coastal regions. That does mean that costs go up when hurricanes hit. But there's just no evidence for this theory that people keep holding. And then also the number of years, even if you believed all of sort of the propaganda that comes with this legislation, the number of decades it would take for it to bear fruit in terms of any of this is it would not have mattered when they passed this bill.
Congressman, before we let you go on this issue of insurance in these flood zones, this is a huge issue playing out in all coastal areas of the country. A lot of insurance companies just pulling out altogether. Their losses have been so big, there's like, we can't stay in business here. What is the answer on that? Because the federal flood insurance covers very little. A little bit, but not a lot of the values of these homes. So what happens?
I mean, look, I would defer to the experts on the Financial Services Committee what needs to happen. But I'm always reluctant to embrace any type of big government solution, certainly big federal government solution. We typically screw it up, as evidenced by this Inflation Reduction Act, which we know actually is driving up the cost of goods and services and actually contributing to the inflation problem. So, but I'll leave it to the guys on the Financial Services Committee. We have some sharp people there who I think will be able to address it.
Yeah, it's gonna hit Florida hard after this. Mollie and Congressman Jordan, thank you so much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.